WTVM News Leader 9. Sports Overtime. College Football Saturday. Sponsored by your local Chevy dealers. Now, here's Tony Reese.
Well, the clock has reached zero. We're heading in overtime. I'm Tony Reese, and usually you see my co-host Drew Pavon beside me, but you'll hear from him in a bit. As we know, playoff season is in full effect, both across Alabama and Georgia, with teams in play aiming to make a state title berth. Now, this week we decided to do things a little different. We're going to send things out to one of our game of the weeks, but we'll have more for that coming up. Let's get into it. Now, we're going to jump straight into that sports overtime game of the week, Opelika Auburn. Big time matchup going on over there in the Duck. Second play of the game, we find ourselves. Opelika comes up huge. Xavier Thomas here's going to pick off Auburn, and he ends up taking this thing back to the crib. Dogs jump up 7-0 early in this one. But hey, don't count out those Auburn High Tigers. They're soon able to march down to the 2, and Myers hands it to Big Carnell Jackson Jr., 330 pounds, in for the score. Things will be tied up at 7-7. Now, Opelika quick to come back, and they give it to their big man, Blake the Hammer Johnson, who gives the Dogs the lead 14-7. Atmosphere was just pure electric tonight. Auburn has the answer, though. Myers rolls out right and throws crossbody to find a wide-open Levi Kelly for a Tiger touchdown. It will be 14-all, but the ensuing kickoff, C.J. Johnson takes that thing so many yards back between 60 and 95 all the way to the house. Opelika had all the momentum going in the half, 21-14, and they keep that lead, 31-28. And final, Bulldogs out on top and headed to state. Here's where we find our big guy. We're actually going to take things over now to the Duck, where we find Sports Leader 9's Drew Pavon. I told y'all we'd have him live here. We're going to go ahead and send it over to him now. Drew, what's it look like over there?
Well, it's a quiet night at the Duck. It's popping over at Opelika because the Bulldogs pull off the 31-28 victory over Auburn, considered a huge upset in a big rivalry game. Bulldogs just too much for Auburn High tonight. They're going on to the Super 7. This is a team that was written off after that third loss to Enterprise, and they have come back in a big way. 3 straight wins in the playoffs, going up to Hewitt-Trussville. This game, the last week game over Baker, and tonight, the exclamation point. C.J. Johnson was huge. We caught up with Brian Moore after the game.
They wrote this team off when you guys had that third loss, and you guys bounced back in a huge way. Yeah. Now you're going to the Super 7.
Yeah, they wrote us off a bunch, but our kids just kept believing, and we got healthy and caught a little hot streak, and just thankful to be here, man. Thankful, but the job's not over. I mean, we understand we'll have a monumental task, but we'll take these 12 days and we'll get ready for it.
Well, 12 days indeed. That separates them between a trip to the Super 7s in Birmingham against either Central or Thompson. What a game this was. Opelika has been the comeback team of the year, and Brian Moore, in just his second season as the head coach of Opelika, has got the Bulldogs going to a state championship game. I mentioned C.J. Johnson. He was huge for the Bulldogs tonight. Just pounding the rock, made huge plays, iced the game towards the end. That would make it 31-17, and Auburn just couldn't come back at a point. They just ran out of time, and Opelika is moving on to Birmingham. Huge win for Brian Moore. Even bigger win for the Opelika program. But, Tony, that's enough from Duck Sanford Stadium. I'm Drew Pavon, WTVM Sports. Leader 9, back to you.
Appreciate that, Drew, and best once again. Congratulations to Opelika Bulldogs. Meanwhile, back in Columbus, the undefeated Carver Tigers hosted Stevens County for second round play. Now we're going to find undefeated Carver Tigers in this game, jumping ahead, already up 7-0. They come up big on defense. Sophomore Steve Wright steps into the INT, and he's off to the races. He's escorted all the way in by his guys, and nobody can stop him. Another Tiger score on the board. Fast forward, next possession, offensive that is, Kobe Castleman doing what he does best, taking the snap, jukes out a defender, sidesteps another before he hits the Jets, and he's up out of there. Then you know what? Defense stepped today. Believe that. Just watch the joint effort pump block from Tristan Gibbons and DeMarcus O'Neal to keep the Indians off the board. Then right before the half, this team proving why they're arguably the best in the state. Quarterback Sebastian Hurd on the snap, rolls out, dumps it off on a screen to wide out TJ Woodson, who finds an opening, nothing but space, stops, changes directions, avoids the tackle, and he takes it all the way to the house. Tigers jumped up big, 35-0. They win big, 56 to goose egg. Find out how the Central Red Devils fare tonight against the reigning state champions in 7A Thompson Warriors right after the break.
You're watching Sports Overtime on News Leader 9.
Welcome back into Sports Overtime. Now, several of our Alabama teams competed for a spot in the state championship game in a few weeks, but we turn our attention now to Gary Harrison Stadium, Thompson, and Central. Need I say more? Now, as we mentioned, the AHSAA 7A state title rematch from last season, the red-hot Central Red Devils hosting the defending state champion, the Thompson Warriors. Now we're going to open things up here. This was a back-and-forth game. It started off good for the Red Devils. We found Bobby Coleman Jr., who's going to get a big play trying to go here. It would be picked off by DeMonte Tab, and things just getting out of control early on for the Central Red Devils. But you know, you can never really count this team out. They've been 11-1 this season, so they know a thing or two about adversity. Then we're going to find this guy here, the Alabama commit for the Thompson Warriors, Trent Seaborn, who's just a junior. He's been doing this since the 8th grade, y'all. He's going to throw this touchdown pass to Mekhi Billingsley. That would make this thing a 7-0 ball game. Well, we got to see if the Central Red Devils can respond. We're going to bounce back over to our main man, B.J. Coleman Jr., who's going to try to get something going here on the run after the high snap, and it gets solid yardage. You know, it's questionable what they can do here, but hey, he's going to try to make something out of nothing. The guy's been doing this all season long. But then he's going to find Pater connecting with Mike Bass, who's wiped out by the flag, but it was a big-time play for the young man. Now, that same drive, Coleman this time is going to pass it over to J.J. Joyner, which will enter the touchdown pass. This thing would be tied up at 7-7, and it looked like it was going to be a ball game. But then that guy, Trent Seaborn, he's pretty much a stud. If you don't know about him, you learned about him tonight. Trent Seaborn would be picked off by Jermaine King. Now, this game would go back and forth, and I mean literally back and forth to the point it would go to the exact wire. Score would be 35-34 in the end, and it was just a heartbreaker tonight. But we have to talk about it. We're going to go ahead and send things over now to our sports contributor who's live on the ground, Mackenzie Collins. Mackenzie, tell us about this, the atmosphere tonight.
Hey, Tony. Well, this was the 6th time that the Thompson and the Red Devils have met, and it's definitely one for the history books. I mean, the stars even came out tonight. We saw former Auburn QB and current NFL Denver Broncos quarterback Bo Nix cheering on his dad, but on the opposite side of the field, Thompson really brought out the energy. I mean, the band kept playing non-stop, and the fans were extra loud. Now, we want to move to the second half of action. Bobby Coleman had an already struggling night tonight, throwing 5 picks, and he only had 4 picks coming into this game. But he found success late in the 4th quarter. He ran in a score to cut the lead down 35-21. That's his 2nd rushing touchdown of the year. Now, this Red Devils, they continue to pick up momentum. They scored with just 53 seconds left, tying up the game 35, electing to go for 2. But in the end, Thompson gets the best. Their defense lights out 35-34, and they'll face Opelika in the state championship on December 3rd. Live from Garrett Harrison Stadium, I'm Mackenzie Collins for WTVM Sports Leader 9. Tony, back to you.
Definitely a tough loss, Mackenzie, but thank you for all your work. As we mentioned now, Thompson will play Opelika in the December 3rd game. Thank you. Meanwhile, we go back to some AISA championship play that took place in the Gump last night in the Crampton Bowl. Now, we know Chambers Academy and his guys, Jason Allen, they're going to get things going here early. A nice run here to put this team up early, and we know the Rebels have been doing this all season long. They will connect here. Lowndes Academy trying to make something go. They will try to throw one long ball. It would be good to make things even here, but you know, you can't count out those Rebels. They've been doing this all season long. They're clearly in this championship game for a reason. We're going to find a way of the run. Call that man Yerda. Yerda's been doing this all game long. We know how he does, how he's done all season. And then they're going to get extra yardage here yet again. Another score. In the end, Chambers is going to capture their 3rd straight title. And it was a big-time moment for head coach Jason Allen and his guys. Congratulations, fellas. Meanwhile, we jump back to Columbus where round 2 play at Sly County up in Ellaville, where they hosted Jenkins County. Now we're going to jump into the first quarter. A foggy one tonight. Wildcats needed a first to keep their opening drive alive, and Blake Weldon gets stuffed for no gain. County forced to punt here, but following the punt, quarterback keeper by Jenkins County. Almost going the distance tonight as Wildcat defenders drag the quarterback down in the red zone after the monster game. And you know what? The Eagles in the red zone, and they make it look oh so easy as they plow their way into the end zone to make the score 7-0. Jenkins, War Eagles would dominate the home team tonight as Sly falls 41-20. Now we're going to find ourselves with some Elite 8 play. The Glenwood Gators, who are on the road, taking on Southside Selma. Now, this is another foggy night where Southside Selma looked to keep a historic season alive, hosting the Glenwood Gators. First quarter here, Panthers threatening early, and Cole Moody drops back to pass, looks for the end zone, and Derek Searles hauls it in. Southside strikes first. Now, I promise we aren't showing you the same clip because this time Cole Moody looking for the same corner of the end zone. This time it's Amari Towns on the defender's head for 6. Southside adds to its lead. Second quarter, Glenwood finally looking to make something happen here. They cut into the 2-score lead. Trey Clarity drops back, hits Christopher Lawrence. That guy, Kyle Lawrence, making it look so easy. Deep in, and it's a foot race to the end zone. Gators would score, but the comeback effort wasn't enough, and Southside holds on for the 34-21 lead and sets a record for most wins in a season at 13. Big time played out. We're going to have so much more coming up because y'all know we haven't even got to our favorite part of the show yet. That and more coming up next after the break. Well, now that we paid some bills, we're going to go ahead and get back into the action now. The Lynette Panthers still looking to keep their AHSAA playoff hopes alive as they look to the road to the ship. They were on the road taking on the Laverne Tigers, who happen to be undefeated going into tonight. Now, I got to say, this game was a back and forth all game. Larry Smith for Laverne would strike first with a rushing touchdown. But you know what? Don't count out those Panthers just yet. Lynette able to immediately respond. Ensuing kickoff, Jaquez Johnson here takes it, and he won't stop until he hits pay dirt. It would be touchdown in favor of those Lynette Panthers. Then Laverne quick to answer back. Tavion Rainey is going to step up here with a rush of his own around the left end from the 10, and that would be a touchdown. But you know what? The Panthers just can't really stop tonight. 25 seconds and a half. Fred Broughton takes it himself, runs all the way in for the touchdown. The Panthers top the Tigers tonight. Laverne's undefeated season comes to an end, 35-16. Lynette now set to take on Reeltown in that next round. And we're going to take a look now at some other playoff matchups that went down tonight. The LaGrange Grangers happened to knock off North Hall tonight, 52-28, and they will now play Stevenson in the next round. Meanwhile, the Callaway Cavaliers season did come to a fall tonight as they fell to the Thompson Bulldogs. Thompson will now play the Carver Tigers in the next round. Carver will host. Meanwhile, Troup County in a tough battle, or they were in a tough battle with Caguero. They lost 28-20 to the Serve Makers. Sumter County wins it big tonight against North Murray, 28-11. Panthers will now face Carver Atlanta going into next. And just like that, I know there's a lot of excitement. Player of the Weeks, we'll have those coming up online. Be sure to tune in to WTVM.com. But for now, that's going to be another Sports OT show in the books. We have so much more coming up this time next week. Several teams will fall, but a lot of teams still in. That and more, always be sure to tune in with us on air and online. That's going to be your Sports Overtime.
I'm attorney Gary.